time to talk about Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is currently just above 30,000 bucks, which is a welcomed nice thing to be seen in the morning. That doesn't make much sense, but more importantly, we're going to be going over Bitcoin in the more near term, kind of, I guess, relevant for this week. And then, of course, how high can this rally go? Or at least what is the next fiscal setup that does suggest some sort of a probable time frame plus percentage gain or a loss from the current price action. Anyways, other than that, I want to once again welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel and give a massive shout out to Mr. James Bell from Florida. He's one of our youngest viewers on this channel. 12 years old. Start him young, baby. Start him young. I actually started, I think around 11. Yeah, around 11. My dad would take me down, and he was a trader himself, and he would actually take me down to the floor, and it was good fun. Didn't know what the hell I was looking at, but I could enter in numbers well enough, at least. Anyways, other than that, good morning to you, Mr. Jameis, and let's just get right on into the content of the day. I'm going to start it off right off here with the daily HPDR bands. This indicator will be ready relatively soon. I think in the coming weeks here. We're going to be good to debut this one, but I just wanted to point out that yes, while Bitcoin is having a pretty nice run thus far, and we were looking for this move, to continue upwards and onwards into this $30,000 territory based off of the break of 27,500. That was the big key for Bitcoin exploding back up to the top side of the range. It is starting to get towards the next sort of area of interest where I would be looking for perhaps a little bit of a pullback. Let's say we are currently brushing up very, very close, not necessarily exactly there yet, but very, very close to the 80% of historic returns range high, as you can see right here. I'll just mark it off with the red brush. There we go. Nice one. That is currently just below 31,000 bucks. Bitcoin is currently traded up as high as about 30,400 or so. And ultimately, I would be looking for a little bit of a pullback if Bitcoin does officially test somewhere right around there. And that is essentially just where the last major high is that Bitcoin put in over the summer, of course, on the end of that July rally. So nice little and obvious pullback region, but I wouldn't necessarily say that things stop from there. I do still remain long-term bullish on Bitcoin for reasons that we'll go over soon enough. But in this case, I'd want to see first Bitcoin start to hit within this region, and then where the bands start to, dance around and find themselves, as we do see that there is an actual increase in volatility based off of the HPDR. For the first time basically since August, actually. And the August one was a little bit more on the short-lived side. That was that downside move that we did see from basically 30,000 or just above 30,000 bucks to a low of about 25,000 bucks. Didn't really get any continuation on top of that, but this one over here does look like it is rather menacing just because we have seen volatility low for so long, and the breakout is really starting to look real within the context of this. So I would be looking at that as a good indication. Also on this side of saying, hey, this rally in the very near term might go into a bit of a consolidation. It doesn't have to be that super. It doesn't have to be like a super long consolidation, but it's getting a little bit more tired. Let's say is that daily HPDRO, so a volatility-based oscillator. Is starting to get towards extremes here. Can it go more? Yeah, absolutely. But it's time to be a little bit more on watch of saying, hey, Bitcoin trading sideways for a few days wouldn't be like super out of the ordinary, I suspect. But still, want to see how things kind of operate around this region right here. Do the bands move up or not? As of right now, they're staying steady. So 31,000 bucks, just an area of interest, so to speak. And tentatively speaking, anywhere down to 29,000 bucks is probably fair game. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to come back down to 29,000 bucks. Just means anything above 29,000 bucks still retains that long-term bullishness for continuation from this region, essentially. All right, sweet. So now let's get into some stats over here. I want to start off with the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum signature, just because this one is and has been baking for quite some time now. Obviously, this one has been basically relevant since the volatility crush that began in about July/August. In the last few months, or what seems to be the last few months, but it seems like an eternity ago, basically. Anyways, in this case, anytime that we have seen volatility that low for and not necessarily even for that long, although that long will imply that there is going to be maybe even a greater resolution here. The direction of the stochastic oscillator has correctly gotten the next major move for Bitcoin a pretty high degree of the time. If I go over here to my stats where I've studied this relationship over the full history of Bitcoin, weirdly enough, and I don't expect this to remain true for forever, but the direction of the stochastic oscillator has gone the correct direction for Bitcoin to the upside 100% of the time. So 11 out of 11 prior iterations, again, going all the way back to the genesis for Bitcoin. That relationship will not be perfect for forever. I can guarantee you that, or I can't actually guarantee you that, but extremely unlikely. Anyways, what is more interesting about this is that the average return from this setup has begotten an average gain of just over 40% with a standard deviation of 10%, and the time taken was about 33 days. So about a month, give or take about 10 days from that number. So if we go back into the price action right here, I would actually be taking the initial portion of this analysis, if this one does continue on to the upside, if we do continue to see expansion from here, which technically speaking is not confirmed just yet, and we did have a fake out back in September, I should add, but here was the key. In September, volatility on the HPDRV was not expanding at all, like at all. And this is really the first time that we've seen something, out of the ordinary, which the ordinary has been extremely low volatility, peaking its head back above even 50 percentile. So this very much, I do believe that this one has a high probability to be the one meaning that we actually do see volatility expansion from here. And there are going to be several more reasons that we'll go over a little bit later. But, let's say that this one is the one. Well, what would that average gain look like on top of not current price action, but that prior low? Well, 40% puts Bitcoin where, or just above 40% puts Bitcoin where? About 37,000-ish region. That is one of the major breakdowns that we did see back on over, I should say, from this area here in April of 2022. Or there goes my charts, get all convoluted there, but you can kind of see, right? This whole consolidation right here really started to break down and accelerate from that, from that level, about 37,000 bucks. If we do look at the standard deviation from that, however, of 10, on the lower end, we might see some more like 30%. On the upper end, we might see some more like 50%. So, let's see what that would look like on the lower end, 34,500 bucks. On the upper end, if things get really crazy, 40,000 plus or sorry, 50%, if, we could see like 40,000 plus. If you did see Fibbo Swani's video on this channel just a couple days ago, there are some good reasons as well to believe that. So there are multiple things coming in from multiple different dimensions, not just my own content, but coming in from his, who is a person that I highly respect, suggesting that Bitcoin can go, higher from here. I also do want to just call back to this analysis. I need to plug in my computer first because it's like, well, it'll last a little bit longer. So we're going to be playing a race against time here. But I do want to call back to the hash ribbons signal and setup that we saw, back on over in this area here, where I kind of put up my neck out on the line because people really fucking hate it when I talk about it for whatever reason. But, I said, hey, the hash ribbons indicator has fired off, and that would suggest that 25,000 bucks, the prior low to that signal, is going to be the low, maybe before never closing below it ever again. At least the probabilities would suggest that, as only 2 out of 15 all time have ever broken the prior low. So could that mean that, this $25,000 level, Bitcoin never sees below on a closing basis yet again? Obviously it did wick below, like a month or two ago, but, closures below we have not seen, obviously. And, so far so good. And also, if we do want to be some pattern bros, we can do that as well, I guess. Why not? We did call this one out. Bit of an ascending triangle here. Again, I don't really care for patterns. I care for trend, and the reason why trend matters so much within the context of this one, and why these seem to work out a lot more than other patterns, is because it's just an uptrend. It's just higher lows. And what do you know? We have a higher low right at that last low that Bitcoin put in around 26,000 bucks. That also came combined with, as we spoke about, hidden bullish divergence. I think it looks a little bit more obvious here, on CME, just a little bit more of a clean chart. And that was all within the context of the daily getting a silver cross more recently that we called out earlier this week on Tuesday/Wednesday, between the yellow 21 and the green 55 exponential moving averages right here. So, just generally speaking, for the history of Bitcoin, even in like the last 6 months, anytime that we have seen a silver cross, especially when it is in the same direction as the weekly trend, those have been pretty significant moves to the upside. I'm talking about, this move right here, talking about this move right here, maybe this move over here that's perhaps getting going. When was the last time we saw a weekly uptrend? That was back on over here. Where was the last silver cross that we did see? Boom, right there, new all-time highs. What about the one before that? Again, right on over here, coming off of the Rona dump. Bitcoin switches it up and goes all the way from 9,000 to 65,000, not bad. And so on and so forth. You get the idea. Same thing over here in 2019, going all the way from 4,000 to 14,000. So, going back to our current iteration, I still think that this can take some time within this region here. I think that, it can certainly fill out this region for more time than maybe I think people would really want. But if we do start to see this setup over here expand, and that gets validated, then we're looking, for a continuation of this rally into the end of November, actually, which does line up with the quarterly stats based off of a green, September, which has produced, green fourth quarters. For the most part for Bitcoin, actually every time, which is interesting as well. Anyways, I'll go through my notes just a little bit more here. Did I miss anything? Yeah, we got the daily silver cross. We got the 5-day hidden bullish divergence. There's also weekly hidden bullish divergence already got confirmed on CME, obviously, because CME already closed for the week, but spot price action actually doesn't even have the same thing in there, but fair enough. We see that the weekly jewel continues with its upside curvature right there, which is good. 2-day time frame jewel is a continuation signal, it looks like, as well, maybe a little more obvious here on CME. Perhaps Bitcoin spikes again higher. I would still kind of hold my breath that this is like the move, so to speak, but it's really going to come into context when we get this next 5-day closure, which guess what? It's tonight. It's tonight in 17 hours, 43 minutes, and 57 seconds. So if we start to see BBWP really, really lift off here, I'd say that's a pretty damn good signal that we will see this one be like the one. Until then, it's still anyone's ball game, I guess. You can kind of read between the lines here. Yeah, the probabilities are obviously favoring the boo laws like that. I think that's pretty fucking clear at this point. Monthly, it's hard to hate this chart. Really fucking hard to hate that. I think we're coming into a bi-monthly closure as well in just about 10 days. There's going to be a chance maybe even for a bullish engulfing possible. That would imply that Bitcoin has to close above $32,000. But if that happens, Bitcoin's very obviously going to see probably closer to 40, honestly. Quarterly, not really getting much from this, but still above all major moving averages. And of course the 4-month, I'll just leave it at that. So again, in the more near term, does Bitcoin come into a bit of a pullback to open up this week? Perhaps yes. I want to see how things operate just under the $31,000 region right here, and then how the bands start to come in, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday area, and that's going to kind of judge, at least for myself, is Bitcoin most likely to see continuation here from not, or not. I did forget to go through stochastic momentum. We could just go through it really quickly. The weekly is obviously going to be closing today, and momentum remains to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 26.1. We'll also have a chance to reclaim that moving average on it for the first time basically since the rally that started in January, from a very similar region, I should add as well. 5-day time frame, obviously we already went over that one, but 26.4 is the pivot closing tonight. 2-day time frame also going to be up above 27.6. That one flipped around real fast, but that signal did fail earlier, obviously. Daily going to continue up above 28.6 as well, not bad there. 12-hour time frame it's getting pretty critical again. Short-term, medium-term pullback, it's not like a crazy assumption. $29,000 current pivot, 6-hour time frame, also in the critical zone, 29.7 the pivot. 4-hour time frame, also in the critical zone, 30,000 the pivot. Again, extremes here on volatility, so really wouldn't be asking too much, I suppose. And $30,000 a pivot for the hourly. So I'll leave things right there. We'll come back at it tomorrow. And I think by Monday, Tuesday, we'll have a pretty damn good idea if this one's going to consolidate a little bit more within this region or not. And that's where I'll leave things off. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Monday.